Welcome everyone to GGN. Today's Friday, October 4th, 2013. I'm Darko. Something I just saw, well, I didn't just see it last night, I saw it since the whole government shutdown thing began. Was it 3 days, now 4 days? And I keep seeing in the news cycle how this will affect so-and-so, this will affect something, this will affect something. And I made it in the recent video about how the government shut down. They won't shut it down because they have too much to lose. And then right after that, of course, it came out that they supposedly shut it down. So the government won't. The government itself will not be shut down. There are still services, family members that work at the Treasury Department, i.e. the IRS. They're still working. They're considered essential. So they're still going to be working. They're still going to be trying to collect taxes. The military is still going to get paychecks. The police are still going to be militarized, and they're still spraying chemtrails. So they're still doing that. I could see the ripples, the manufactured storm that was created over the last couple days, and mostly yesterday and today. And so HARP is up and functional. So there's a lot of money that's still being spent on government services. So whether the government opens up or starts up again, it doesn't really matter, because they're going to still keep going. The control mechanisms of government, basically, the things or the apparatus that people should have been protesting against for years, for decades, and they haven't, because they've had certain things, little perks, right? That just keeps them going. Mostly just a paycheck, and toys and gadgets and entertainment and stuff. So here you go. 10 ways the government shutdown affects your daily life. Am I going to read this article? Hell no, I'm not, because there's so much on it that you can go through and check it out yourself, right? Because there's enough out there, pundits telling you how this is going to affect you negatively. 48 ways the government shutdown will screw you over. Who is affected when the government doesn't show up for work? Poor people, people with immune systems, basically everybody. How would a government shutdown affect your family? So we know that the government itself is responsible, I think, I have my own theories, for destroying the family. The federal government encroaching on people's family, telling them that they cannot, homeschool, and if they are, it has to be sanctioned by the government. You have to get your child into schools to be brainwashed. If they don't, they will be kicked out of school, and then they will say that, well, they're truant and you're a bad parent, so we're going to kidnap them and we're going to brainwash them to tell them that you need to be better than your parents. But anyways, everybody knows how much the government actually encroaches on families and destroys families. I've made this theory before, or said it, about how basically society reflects government. Sounds pretty obvious, right? But you have family, right? The society is a reflection of the family. The family is really kind of a reflection of how the government is. Whether you have no government, you just have primitive tribes, where you have a chief system, where you don't have a chief system, where you have a huge centralized government, highly centralized a federal government that's just you have no say at all. So that does reflect the family, and it reflects society. So it's no surprise whether this is whether this is a game or something that they're playing with people's lives, or if it's the real deal, that the system is crumbling and they're trying to prop it up. I've heard that before about how Obama, he's not skull and bones, he may not be New World Order. They just stuck him in there because the ship's going down, and so they just put him in there at the helm, and so he's just taking on debt, raising debt ceiling, writing food stamps, anything to keep this system going, when really naturally it should just crumble. But yeah, if the government is pretty much broken, the whole thing, it makes sense that the family structure is broken, that society is broken, which is why you see wives or women cutting, not taking their Prozac and decapitating their son's head, or or all of this crazy stuff that goes on, right? Because society's broken, it's fractured. Has the Republican government shutdown affected you, or how has it affected you personally? Has it? How government shutdown will affect public schools. So there shouldn't even really be public schools. It's based off the Prussian model of basically raising obedient workers and obedient to the state. That's what it's there for. And so if this public school shut down, that would be a great thing. So how a government shutdown would affect academia. So they're talking about what? The Chronicles of Higher Education. Higher education. So if they fail to meet any, this is kind of a agreement on the budget. It says it'll impact the universities. So it goes on there and says how they won't be able to do their research and they won't get their paychecks. And remember all this. How government shutdown affects benefits for seniors, poor, jobless, and veterans. So it wouldn't be a threat, right? It wouldn't be a blackmailing unless they threw in the poor and the jobless, the seniors and the veterans, because they care so much about them. Poor may be the first to pinch the funding crisis. So if people were free and they were able to not be poor, then they wouldn't need them, right? But they keep them poor so that they need them. How a partial government shutdown will affect food in America. So, oh man, they just legislated that Monsanto not be liable for poisoning and killing people. They also have monopoly, and it's all legislated. So, I mean, that's how, they poison their food with pesticides. They spray chemicals all over the crops. They poison the water supplies with agricultural runoff, with sodium fluoride, with prescription drugs. That, of course, is sanctioned by the government. So how will the food be affected? It may actually get healthier. Shutdown jeopardizes nutrition program for the poor. So again, nutrition and the poor. As we know that the federal government cares so much about women and infants and children, right? Because they bomb them in other countries and blow them to bits and pieces. And then when their families try to go and pick up the pieces and the bodies and the blood and clean it all up, they come in there with a double tap and strike them too. They actually rely on that. So now they care about them. How a government shutdown would affect stocks. So how would it affect stocks? Well, from what I heard and what I've seen, it didn't really do much. It did affect the dollar, and it did affect gas. Gas went down, or oil went down, oil prices, and then, of course, the dollar, because the dollar is backed by oil, among many other things, like people's willingness to keep the system going by perpetuating it, taking on more debt, working it off. Government shutdown risk hurting the housing recovery. So I'm not really sure if there was a housing recovery, but it's hurting it. How the government shutdown will affect technology. Here's a list of the tech-related government functions that will go offline if the plug is pulled. Yeah, it's nice to be able to talk to you guys and reach the entire planet with these news reports and be able to give my say. I'm telling you, it is awesome. But technology, like I said before, yeah, it could be nice, it could be good, but it was given to us to help basically destroy us. We will be destroyed by technology, and we'll do it voluntarily. So if technology went away, we went to a more primitive society, I think we would actually be healthier and better off, really. How a government shutdown would affect science and technology. So, and it goes in there. Shutdown looms, how it's going to affect science and technology. And that's basically the military-industrial complex of vaccinations, pharmaceuticals, all that stuff, right? Experimenting. How the military is affected by the government shutdown. How's the government going to be affected? I'm sure they're still going to get paid. They're still going to be a military. They have plans drafted for that. It's called, continuity of government in case of natural disasters. TV pitchman may avoid jail due to government. So, because we all know that that jails are actually rehabilitation centers. You come out a better person. No, actually, you just try not to get caught, because if you go in there, you're going to come out 10 times worse. And actually, we know that what? There's a profit, prison for profits, or profits for prisons. So they actually make profits in these private prisons. The more people they get in there, the more profits they make. And the government sanctions this. Real justice would be the family members and our invested interest people, friends, whatever, will be able to say how justice is carried out. They do it themselves, or they'll tell the state. But the state gets in there and says that, no, we're going to decide what's just and what's fair. Which is why you have people like in Congress that can do what they do. And nothing happens to them, right? They're surrounded by a bodyguard, by a small army, these people. The government shutdown, how it could affect the National Weather Service, NASA, and more. Government shutdown affects parks, camping, and boating. Now, oh man, that sucks. I might go fishing in a month. Then I might have to not have to worry about some fascist DNR coming in here and ruining my fucking weekend, so that he can write tickets, so that he can legitimize himself, right? His job. Because if he doesn't write the tickets, he won't have work. Will the U.S. government shutdown affect your travel plans? It's going to affect your travel plans. That's right, cruisers affected by the government shutdown. 7 animals affected by the government shutdown. So it's going to affect the animals, the poor. The government shutdown could affect Virginia race. It could affect politics. Uh-oh. You mean we don't have to participate in choosing between a douche and a turd anymore? Wow, that would be awesome, right? The truth is that life will go on. The sky will not fall if this does take place, which is why there's all these threatening articles. But the main thing that you need to look at is the health insurance companies, right? Health insurance. Obamacare. Really, they call it Obamacare to divert attention from what it really is, like I said before, right? We already have insurance companies that are basically duopolies. They're huge companies that consolidated. With this bill passed, it will force people to buy private health insurance. So you see shit like this, calling it socialist. Sweetheart, the president says that it's better to be sick than to be socialist. It has nothing to do with that, right? It has to do with making huge profits off people. And they call it health care. And it doesn't really make you any better. You have cancer, you go in there and you come out worse, radiated and stuff. Tumors come back. All the side effects from the pharmaceutical drugs. So they passed this bill, and they're holding people, this system, whatever, and this country. They're holding it hostage. These insurance companies, they're holding it hostage. And it just goes to show you how powerful these people are. These corporations of health insurance companies, that they're able to shut down the biggest centralized government in the world just to get what they want. But maybe it has nothing to do with that. Someone else said, this happens kind of like a business. When a business closes and it reopens, it has under new ownership, new owner and operator. Maybe this is what it is, right? Because in my state here in the Midwest, they're doing construction up the yin-yang. I mean, a lot of construction. And yeah, they do it in the summer a lot too. But here we are in October, and they're doing all kinds of stuff. I even thought I saw yesterday they were creating one of those little not a ramp, but like a way station where they have those roads that go off like that, like a semi-oval. And I was like, that looks like a checkpoint, So they're creating little checkpoints, they're reinforcing bridges. Where's all this money coming from? They're still doing that. So I do wonder what's going on with that. They had, these guys in black parachuting over by Goldman Sachs. They didn't know who the hell they were in New York and Manhattan. Just different things that are going on, all these firing of generals and that. Is this a transfer of power that's going on? Could there be some kind of invasion? Could there be some kind of new ownership, new operator, i.e. China, who basically owns us? I'm not really sure, right? But even though people, this is whether you say you believe in governments or not, there still will be common law. There will still be people to be able to associate freely. And this system was basically enforced on us, this structure. So if it all comes crumbling down, I say more the better. I say it will provide us an opportunity to actually do things voluntarily, right? To do things freely. instead of having it forced and shoved down our throats and the top down. This is GGN, and I'm Darko. Thank you.